Welcome back. In this video we're going to look at assignment 5, but we are going to revise it to use query strings and get. So we're going to take our solution that we've already worked through and we're going to modify it. We're still looking at this same setup here, but instead of having these IDs on the left hand side, we want to set it up something more like this, where on the left hand side there's an edit and a delete. The edit then would take you to a page where you would do your edits. Delete would delete, obviously, and then you'd have to add an add new link. But that's what we want to look at transforming this into. So what I want to do is come back over here to Dreamweaver. I've added a folder called Assign05 Revised. There's currently not anything in it. And what I want to do is, I'm working locally, I'm off campus, so I'm going to be pushing the files up again this time. So what I want to do is just grab all of the files that we have out of assignment 5. Sorry, let's go to this folder. Grab all of the files that we have out of assignment 5. I'm going to copy those. Oops, I need that folder too. I'm going to copy those, and then I'm going to put them into my Assign05 Revised folder. Now that we've got those copied over, we can come back here, refresh this. We can see that my my files have updated. I'm going to go ahead with this selected and hit put these files up to the 356 server. Now that's completed, so I've got my files in both places. So the first thing I'm going to do is open the select page. And on the select page, we'll come back to this. We want to get rid of these shipper IDs and instead have it say edit and delete there. So let's come back to Dreamweaver and let's find that location within the file. It's going to be down close to the bottom, and as we look here, here's where we have the shipper ID. So for starters, I'm just going to get rid of what's in there for now. And I'm going to make it look like this, mostly so I can have a little bit more space. And inside of there, I'm going to put two links. And so we start very simple. We're going to have it say edit, a pipe, and then delete. But each of those need to be hyperlinks, so we'll do href equals, and then we'll do a close A at the end. We'll duplicate that before the delete link. So now we effectively have two links. This one is going to go where? It will go to update.php. And this one is going to go where? It will go to delete.php. So let's go ahead and save that. We'll push it up to the server. That file, put it, no. Let's look at it in the browser. So this should be the same file. Actually, no. Let me add revised after it. So now we see we've got edit and delete links. And if I click on edit, it takes me to update.php. If I go back and I click on delete, it will take me to delete.php, but that's a pass-through page. And it's not going to do anything because we haven't told it what to delete. So now you can see what it's starting to look like. And this is where query strings come in. So far in class, we've primarily used method equal post. We would post variables to the next page, And in this example, we are going to get information. In order to use get, we need a query string. A query string starts with a question mark. You'll see we've got update.php question mark, and then it's a name equal value pair. And you can put multiple, but for this right here, we're just doing one name equal value. So for ours, we're going to have ID equals, and then we're going to use PHP to populate that. And over here on delete.php, we're going to do question mark ID equals, and again populate that with PHP. So all I need is that PHP that was originally in there to get the shipper ID. I need that right here. So you can see that I'm inside of a set of double quotes, and what I'm going to do is echo out the shipper ID right where that cursor is blinking. So I'll do a Control V. I'm going to change the word phone to shipper ID. And again, I'll come here after the equal sign. You'll see I'm inside of the double quotes. You'll see that it's going to be delete.php question mark ID equals the shipper ID. And now let's save that and let's push it up to the server again. No, just that one file. We'll come back here and refresh. And now you're not seeing anything visually, but if you look down here in the status bar, we'll make sure that's definitely on screen. If you look down there in the status bar, we've now got update.php question mark ID equals 1, and here we've got delete.php question mark ID equals 1, ID equals 3, ID equals 4, come over to edit, ID equals 1, equals 3, equals 4. So now what we can do is make our update and our delete pages more dynamic. In the assignment 5, we had hard-coded doing number 2. We're going to change it so that now it can be anything that we're editing or deleting. Let's work on edit first. So our edit link is going to take us to update.php. So let's load that. The first thing that we want to do is get that variable after the question mark. So in order to do that, we're going to create a variable. I'm just going to call it ID. And then instead of doing an underscore post, you'll do an underscore get. And what goes in here, in between the double quotes, is the name, whatever of that name equal value pair, it is the name that you used. So the name that I used was ID. So I'm going to put ID there. That's going to grab the value that's after the equal sign and put it into this variable here. Now let's scroll down on our update page a little bit. You'll see down here we had hard-coded the number 2. So we have select shipper ID, company name and phone from Shippers Lab 5 where shipper ID equals 2. Well, we no longer want to hard code that value. Now the number 2, as you saw, did not have single quotes around it. It's stored in the database as an integer. So what I'm going to do is concatenate onto the end of this the variable ID that I had from up above. Once I've done that, let's go ahead and save update.php. I'm going to select that file, put it up on the server, and let's come down here. So now when I click update here, it should bring Speedy Express into here to be edited. If I go back to the select page and I hit edit on this one, you'll see at the bottom ID equals 3. I've got 3 federal shipping. If I come back to here and I hit edit on this next one, you'll see at the bottom ID equals 4. And here we have ID 4 with that information. So now we can look at do update. Let's bring up do update. And in this, we have selected our shipper ID that was posted, our company name, and our phone number that was posted. Down here, we set company name equal to the variable, phone equal to the variable, where shipper ID equals the variable. So this page is actually already set up and ready to go. We don't have to change anything here. So let's test it. We'll go to this bottom one, number 4, and I will type some extra garbage in there and hit update info, and it updated it just fine. Let's go to the second one and add something, update info, and it took it. Let's go ahead and change that back. Changed it back. Let's go ahead and edit that first one. Took it just fine. Change it back. Took it fine. We'll do a phone number just because. And you can see that the edit is working just fine, and you can work your way through that entire list. So let's use the existing insert, and let's do a new one. There's our new one. Let's edit it. And it's taking it just fine. It's working great. So it's time to look at delete now. Let's open up the delete page. And once again, as a reminder, let's come back to select. We created a delete link. So ahref delete.php, start of a query string. The name that we gave it is ID, set equal to the value from the database. So when we click on that, we come to the delete page, and in that, we once again need to grab that variable out of the query string. So ID equals $_get. And what goes in between the double quotes is the name of the variable that you used on this page, which is ID. Now that we have that, you'll see that we've hard-coded number 2 there. Let's get rid of that hard-coded number 2 and concatenate on the variable that we just created. And that will finish the delete page. So we can come back here, and now we can test. Oh, sorry, I've got to push that up to the server first. We can come back here, it's saved, delete, push it up. So we're in here, and let's delete something other than number 2. Here is the one we just added, which is ID equals 333 at the bottom. If I click on edit there, you'll see 333 come up. If I come back here and I hit delete, you'll see ID equals 333 at the bottom, and you'll see it just disappear. Let's go ahead and do that again. ID equals 4, and it's gone. And we can do that all the way, but then we won't have anything to look at. So that finishes delete. Let's go ahead and validate this now and make sure that our changes have not hurt our validation. So I, once again, am going to be using the total validator tool. I like using it. Again, we're validating against XHTML5. I've changed my folder name to include the word revised here, and I'm going to do the select page. So I'll hit validate. So we can see on this page we've got total warnings found 5. Let's find out what we've got here. Different links that use the same link. So what we've done in our new solution is we've eliminated the need for these links here, and so we're getting some warnings that tell us about that. Let's scroll on down. Different links use the same link, different links use the same link. We did not get any errors. And so we're okay with warnings, but we have no errors. So I'm okay with that. We're going to actually modify this a little bit anyway. So we can agree now that we do not need the update and delete links up here, correct? So let's go ahead and get rid of those out of the menu. We'll come back here. I need to go to my includes folder, open menu.php, and I no longer need the delete link or the update link in there. I will save that. I'll push that up to the server. And I'm going to refresh this page, and now I've just got select and insert. Now that we've done that, that probably will get rid of a couple of our warnings that we have when we validate. I think I'd like to just to do that again. We haven't really done anything with this users table, but let's go ahead and use the same premise and do this once again. I think it'll be a good exercise for the video, and maybe it'll help reinforce what we've just done. So on the users table, once again we want to do the same thing. Get rid of the actual user ID, and we want to put edit and delete links there. So we're going to come back to the select page, and I'll start from scratch rather than copying and pasting. I'll come up to this other table. This is where we list the user ID that's there. So I'm going to cut that out, and inside of here I need two links. I need edit, pipe, delete. I'm going to turn both of those into anchor tags. Do that again. And again, edit is going to go to an update page, and delete is going to go to a delete page. Now, there are a couple of ways to approach this. For this video, I'm going to keep it simple. We're going to make a separate update page for the user table and a separate delete page for the user. Yes, it is possible we could use one edit page for both tables, and yes, it is possible we could do one delete page for both tables. But for this video, let's keep it a little bit more simple. We can't go to update.php because that's the same one that shippers uses. So let's do update user, and we'll just have to create a new PHP for that, and then let's do delete user.php. Now you'll remember that once again we've got to have a query string on each of these, and I'm just going to do ID equals once again on both of them, and what comes after that is the piece that I cut out. So again, I'm inside of those double quotes. This is part of the string for where to navigate to, and the value is going to be that user ID that we pull from the database. Again, I'm inside the double quotes, and I echo that out. So let's go ahead and save that and push that select page up once again, and refresh this page, and now we have it looking like this. Now look at the bottom where it says ID equals, and you should see it change from 1 to 2, 3, there's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And it does that on both sets of links. So now what we need are pages to handle update user and delete user. We're going to go look at the update page. Let's grab our file here. So we're going to start with update, which has the form on it. And we're going to copy that, paste it, and we're going to rename it update user. So now back in Dreamweaver, we refresh these files, and we've got a new file here, update user, that we're going to edit. We still need to grab that ID out, so that's fine. We're going to have to modify some things, obviously. Instead of getting the shipper, we now need to get the user information. So I'm going to copy this select statement from select.php. I'm going to see how much different it is from this one. And we're just going to add on the where clause to this, where I believe it's user ID equals, and then we've got to tack on that ID, so $ID. You can see how those look pretty similar, but we no longer need this one. We'll execute that query, get the results back. This is going to go, instead of do update, we want it to go to do update user. It'll post that data. We're going to have to edit this form because we have some different things to use in here. Probably the most cumbersome is going to be this first one. Remember that we have a disabled one that cannot be edited, and then we have a hidden one that sends the value. So in this, the title is going to be user ID, and it's going to be for user ID disabled. And I'm going to copy that, and where it says shipper ID dis, I'm going to paste that, and let's scroll across. And we're not looking for the shipper ID here, we're looking for the user ID. So as usual with copying and pasting, it's just making sure that we actually update everything we're supposed to. Back across, and this, instead of being shipper ID, will be user ID and user ID. We have company name and phone here. If we come up to the select statement, we'll see that we are selecting last name, first name, and title. There's actually more than that in the table, but we'll stick with those for now. So we've got last name and first name there, and we'll scroll across to the inputs. I'm going to take this for and make it where name and ID are. And then this next one is going to be first name and first name. And we actually need one more element there. So I am going to take this and copy it, and the last thing that we have there is title. So that last one is going to be title, and we'll work our way across here. The error message can stay the same, update info can stay the same, and let's go ahead and save that. Control S. I'll push that up to the server. And let's see what it looks like. So So I'll refresh this page just in case. We'll see that this is pointing to update user, which is Devolio edit. Takes us to update user.php. We've got one Devolio Nancy sales rep. Great. Now we can't actually update the info yet because we haven't created the pass-through page yet, but let's go back and hit the next edit. 2, back and hit the next edit. 3, that's great. So now we have to do the do update page. Same thing, same drill here. We are going to take do update.php, copy that, paste it, and we're going to call it do update user. We'll come back to Dreamweaver, refresh those files, open up do update user, look at what we've got in here. We're grabbing the shipper ID, that should be user ID. Company name should be last name. Phone should be first name. And I will change these as well. So we have user ID, last name, and first name, and we need to add another one. So I'm going to copy one of these, paste it down here, and we need title. So now we have user ID, last name, first name, and title pulled into our variables. If empty user ID, change the location. We've got to completely change our update statement here. So what I'm going to do is write a new one right above it. $SQL equals update users lab 5 set first name equal some value, comma, last name equal some value, comma, title equal some value, comma, where user ID equal to some value. So here, user ID is equal to $user ID. So $user ID. And now we just need to fill in the rest here. I'll leave this bottom one until we finish out here. Remember, for concatenation, the best way to think about it is inside of those single quotes, we'll do double quote, double quote. That effectively ends, that gives you two strings where you did have one. In between those double quotes, 2 periods for concatenation. And then we need title to go in there. In between the single quotes, again, split it up into multiple strings, periods for concatenation, and then we have last name. One last time. I'll get rid of that bottom one. So we're setting the first name, last name, and title, where user ID equal to the value that was passed in. Execute, save it. I'm going to push that up. No. There it goes. And now, let's come back to the select page. Let's go to edit. Great. Let's add some garbage. And update it. And we updated this one here. Oh, we've got a problem. So, this is a good exercise. Let's find out where the problem is. I'm going to come back here, comment out my echo, or uncomment my echo, and comment out my location redirect. I'm going to save that. I'm going to push do update user up again. Come back here, refresh. Let's go to the next one. Steve Buchanan, add some garbage. Hit update. We land on this page here. Update users lab 5, set first name equal, last name equal, title equal, where. I can see the problem right now. I've got a comma where I should not have one. So let's come back. And get rid of that comma. And I'm going to echo out my SQL, uncomment my location redirect. I'm going to push this file back up. Back here, go back a page. We'll go all the way back to select. We'll try Buchanan once again. Update info, and this time it took. So just a simple typo can cause us problems. And let's go ahead and change that back, why not? And it gets changed back. And so you can make your way down through here and do that with any of them. Now we need delete to work. Same drill. Come over here, and we're going to take delete.php, copy and paste it. This one's going to be called delete user. Come back to Dreamweaver, refresh those files, open up delete user, and now we are getting that ID, which is fine. If we come back to select once again and we come down here, we'll see that we've got a href delete_user.php, which is the file we just created, where ID is equal to user ID. So we have to get the ID. So we get the ID, that's fine. We've got to change this delete statement. And all we've got to do is change the table name. Users lab 5, where user ID. Save that, we're done with it. Delete user, push it up, no. We'll come back here and we're ready to try deleting some. So this is Robert King here, delete, and he's gone. Dodsworth, gone. Devolio, gone. Now that we've done this, let's go ahead and validate, make sure that nothing has changed. So I'll come over here, I'm going to make sure I'm still on my select page. I'm going to hit validate. Loads up, we've got no errors, and now I've got 16 warnings. So basically you can see that I've got the same link over and over again, and that's what the warning is saying, that we've got multiple links going to the same place, which is fine. We don't have any errors on the page, and so I'm happy with that. One of the last things that I'd like to make clear on this is we've worked entirely with numbers on this, and it does not, the ID does not have to be a number. It can be a word. So you could have, in the case of addresses, you could have edit ID equals home, and home would be the primary key. You could have ID equals parents, ID equals brother, ID equals work. So it does not have to be a number, and I want to make sure that that's clear. So if we come back, the process does not change, other than, you know, you'd need some single quotes. I hope you realize that. But on this, it would be exactly the same as what we have. If the primary key was a word, we wouldn't change our syntax here at all. It'd be whatever you want to call it. I'm using ID equals the word, so home or parents or work or any number of things. If you're looking at credit cards, it could be ID equals Visa, ID equals MC for MasterCard, ID equals Amex. So it does not have to be numbers. I want to make sure that that's clear. It can be words that you're using and doing the same process. So I'll do a quick recap on what we did here. We took our finished assignment 5, Instead of having our numbers here, we wanted edit and delete links. To create the edit and delete links, we came into our code and we put in the words edit and delete. We made each of them hyperlinks. We added on a query string. The query string begins with a question mark and then has a name equal value pair. The name we chose was ID. It could have been anything. ID equals, and then the value, we used PHP to pull from the database and write out the row that contained the user ID. And we did that on both. Upon clicking that for edit, it would take us to the update page. The update page would then have to grab that ID using an underscore get. When it's a query string, it's an underscore get. Otherwise, it's an underscore post. So for a query string, we grabbed that using underscore get. We came down here and we used that ID that we pulled. Do update. We didn't even have to change, but it was the same premise. We had to use the ID that we were given. Delete. Again, underscore get to get the ID, and we had to use that ID as part of the SQL query. And that is the basics for doing a query string to be able to edit and modify all of the fields on a page. Now, obviously, we could change how this looks. We could we could make it look differently, just change the CSS, lay it out differently. It doesn't have to be in this table view. So that's all on you to make it look good. It doesn't have to be like rows and columns like this is. But other than that, that finishes our example here for using query strings. Hope you find it useful.